retirement, what a complicated thing. It was invented, apparently, by a German principality. When, I can't remember, it was invented for generals, and the person that invented it said, what age do generals die? And his assistant said, about 65. And he went, that's when we'll invent retirement for. That's when we'll invent pensions. I believe that's a apocryphal story, but with some truth. So, no show without a tell. What I'm going to do is introduce people who have been through Creative Brain Week, who have experienced it, to talk a little bit with us about their experience. It sometimes feels when I put these together that it's a little bit like a hostage situation. We're going to stick you in a room, we're going to throw things at you for a couple of hours. It feels even more like that when I get people like Kim, who should be joining us from Australia, who generously says, yeah, I'll get up in the middle of the night and talk about what I've been doing. Are you there? You are. Hello.
Yes,
Good
I
evening.
am.
Can we hear you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Perfectly well. So,
Yes.
Kim is many things. She is a economist primarily. She's the only economist who pointed out to me that the last winners of the Nobel Prize for Economy won it for creative disruption. One of the things that she does that's creatively disruptive is she has developed Creative Brain Week in Australia. So I'm going to hand over to her for a couple of minutes and she might talk about what you've been doing. You're very welcome. Delighted to see you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dominic. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. So I feel that I'm really much in imposter syndrome now, and it's already 2:30 in the morning, so I might be a bit delirious. But I'd like to take an opportunity to share a little bit about what we've been doing in Creative Brain Week in Australia in the past 2 years. And before I say that, I just really connect with a lot of what Brian just say about finding our way. How do we get here, and have we changed? So I might kind of anchor my talk a little bit around that, if that's okay. Hang on, why doesn't change? So before I start, I would like to acknowledge the land that I am talking to you today, which is the land of the Fijian, and we pay respect to the ancestor and their descendants who continue culture and spiritual connection to country. And has been a tradition in Australia to acknowledge the land and the ancestor of the land where we meet. Um, a little bit about the journey, and I think the journey is really very much, I will share a bit about finding our way. I'm an Atlantic Fellow of Equity in Brain Health in 22, 23, so just after COVID. And I guess a lot of us after COVID, we kind of get thrown into a kind of a existent crisis where we kind of find that our way of doing has been kind of changed, but we don't really know how to get to the new place. So I was really lucky to join the team at Trinity. And I guess through the mix with a lot of creativity and creatives in my cohort, like Mike that you hear about, and learn to meet Dominic's and other friends, I kind of find a little bit of my way when I saw Creative Brain Week. So what I'm going to talk to you very quickly on the journey we get to Creative Brain Week, and no way that I will say that's my own way. I feel that in order to build this, I have been stand on the shoulder of giants, of Dominic, Brian, and everyone, but also rely on everyone here in Australia. So the journey that we have been taking, so this is 2025. We just did it in November. So when we started, we thought that the main objective is to grow Creative Brain Week or the Creative Brain Health community in Australia, especially in Brisbane. So to mix science and art. And I see a wonder of putting them together, as you already hear about the experience. And the other thing that for me, it's very personal, is to celebrate the knowledge present in our local communities of arts and science, because I've seen so much in our community that is done but never heard. and make that visible experience everyday life and innovation for me is personally important. And I guess the third one, given that our connection with the global community really about share insight and practices, and really weaving it to how we understand and develop knowledge and learning and sharing from each other. Well, that sounds really like a pitching, but the reality is I create Creative Brain Week because I want to have Creative Brain Week in Brisbane. And I can't possibly every year fly into Dublin for a few days to attend. So that's actually the selfish goal. So Creative Brain Week in 24 was happening because Atlantic Institute offered us a pilot study, and we kind of, with the support of Dominic, come up with a sort of a semi version of Australia because we live very far from each other. So we choose a different location so people can actually attend. So it's not like Ollie in Trinity, we have to choose 3 different locations. However, what we realized that it's probably much more concentrated if we are in Brisbane. So in the second year, which is last year, we actually moved to where I am actually from, the School of Public Health. And the intention is we want to make Creative Brain Week going to be a public-facing engagement for public health. And I feel that now, given that the importance of brain health and how it interfaces with public health, I have found a home for it. So we curated Creative Brain Week in a very much the same understanding of it's a heady mix of science, technology, and art. So we have speakers and performance for 2024. And as we move that to 2025, what I've learned, and I think this is learning from Creative Brain Week in Dublin, is we can listen to each other talking, but it's much better if we practice together. So instead of only have talk, we actually have experience, including dance, singing together, and also actually experience a museum that was a program designed to dementia. So that, as I say, it's never be happen if I don't have, or we don't have a lot of partner and support. So this is just a few of them. And again, a lot of thanks to Dominic and the Global Brain Health Institute, which is very much instrumental as Brian, and the support from the Atlantic Institute for the first year, so we can actually start. But also a lot of local partners, especially GOMA, which is the Queensland Art Gallery, and Gallery of Modern Art, which for the first year, when I talked to Debbie Britton, which is a Churchill Fellow there, she immediately picked up the idea and say, let's just do it together. And I think for a lot of what I'm doing, I would not be able to do it without her support and enthusiasm. So what's next for us after the 2 years? We actually reflect on that, and we realize that there are very big demand and interest for this, because everyone, if we ask whether or not you're interested in Creative Brain Week, almost everyone will say that they really haven't found this thing in Brisbane before, haven't sit next to someone who talk about science in such a way that they can understand. But also a lot of scientists haven't actually had much interaction with artists, or even dance with artists or sing with artists. And now they have an opportunity to do so. And that kind of thing that make me feel that, yeah, there is something here that we've done well. And I think we are finding our way in that field. And I feel that, in this particular quote, it resonates with me, because this is someone who lived with brain injury. And she was in the first year as a participant, or, basically attending. But the next year, she actually asked me if she can actually talk about her creativity. And her creativity, later on, I learned it's called relational art. She's making a small heart So then she can give us to her patient in the hospital and say that when you feel lonely, you just squeeze this little heart and you remember me. And I forgot to put it here, but I think that that's one of the best experience that I feel from a person who, a participant, and then speak up as a speaker and sharing the activities that she had. A lot of reflection that I have and how I think about moving forward. Creativity for me is about inclusion, and inclusion is bringing everyone in the room and listen to their conversation. And I think Dominic has a lot to teach me around that, through his mentoring. Uh, we definitely in Brisbane, or I guess everywhere else, really value diversity. We just don't have enough of diversity in our life. And when we bring that together, there seems to be a synergy and a magic that a lot of the time we can't find. We do need a lot of trust to make it happen, um, because it is an experimental space. And I feel that I'm really grateful that people believe in me when I say, like, for example, last year when I bring the idea to the head of school at School of Public Health, and I say, I want to do Creative Brain Week. This is my second year. Can you support? And she's like, what do you need? And that's just it. And I feel that that level of trust sometimes is a vision of a leader. um, Location has been a primary important for us in Australia because we live really far away, and sometimes get people together is a challenge, and we continue to work on it. Partnership is extremely important for us because we at the moment still rely on mostly goodwill to participate, and that in order to maintain it or grow it in the future, um, and also to make the impact, we need a much broader partnership. Timing is important for us for many reasons because under a university, there is certain time that might not happen very well for people. And promotion and how to get the word out there is also important. Um, so there's a lot of things that we've done. And I think I feel personally I've changed along the way how I see creativity play a part in my work and how I can use creativity and lean onto that to actually change the culture in my school. And there's definitely one thing that I want to share is we will be back in 2026, and we are at the planning stage. Thank you.